How's it going, YouTube? Dom here. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the brutal truths about becoming a developer in 2023. Now, the reason for making this video in particular here is because I see a lot of misinformation out there that I just want to address. And as somebody who's, been a digital marketer for about a good 8 years now, I know all the marketing tricks that these companies and gurus will use to get you to buy the program or to get you to sign up to their coding bootcamp or stuff like that. Also, there's a lot of news out there with recessions and whatnot, and I'll also address those in the video and some of the brutal truths about that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is just starting out, right? If you're in a position where you're starting out and you're just getting into the developing space, a lot of these companies will sell you on the fact that, it's going to be easy. You're going to learn in, 12 weeks or so if you take our boot camp or you take my course. It's a 12-week course. And, I've been through a lot of courses over my lifetime. I do believe in investing in your education. But the thing is, right, what you need to understand is you need to understand how how marketing works. And then you'll understand, what these companies are trying to go for, right? So basically in marketing, one of the main things is people want the least effort, the biggest result, and the least commitment, right? So I'll give you a perfect example here. Let's say, and they also want the biggest pain, right? So if they have a big pain, right? So money is usually a pain. Dating is usually a pain. Those are basically the fundamental ones. If somebody was sick with cancer, for example, and there was a pill to solve it, you take a pill, you swallow it, and your cancer's cured instantly. I can assure you that that's going to be a really, really good seller. Why? Because it's low effort, it has the biggest results, so people are willing to pay a lot of money for it. And these are what these coding boot camps are all about. They're all about, selling you on the minimum effort. But the reality is, coding is a lot of work, right? Even me, coming from a technical background, it took me about 12 months, 16 months, something like that. Like, I graduated a degree in electrical engineering, and it took me 12 to 16 months to learn how to code, right? So considering your position, if you're coming from a non-technical background, you're coming from, say the trades, or you're a teacher, for example, it might take you a really, really long time. It might even take you longer, right? And then you might tell yourself, or you might tell me, Donald, well, I saw this guy on YouTube and he said he took 6 months to learn how to code and stuff like that. But what they don't tell you is they quit their job. They spent 8 hours a day studying code, right? A lot of us out there, a lot of us normal people, we need our day job. We need to pay the bills. We need to put a roof over our head, right? We need to make sure that we keep the lights on. We want to make sure that we put food on the table. So we only have, say 4 hours, 3 hours, maybe 2 hours to dedicate to coding. And as a result, it's going to take you a lot longer to actually learn how to code to a level where you're hireable. Now, moving on, what we want to talk about is, after you're done coding and you're starting to build those projects and stuff like that, another harsh truth is at the entry level, it is extremely, extremely, extremely competitive. Your job search could be 1, 2, maybe 3 years, right? And I know this might be kind of hard to hear, but it really is the truth. For me, I graduated in electrical engineering, and it took me 2 years to find a job. 2 years, right? And I'm an average guy. I'm not like some whiz kid coming out of Harvard or stuff like that. I was just some regular guy. It took me 2 years to find a job. Now, I did graduate during COVID, so that definitely played into the fact that it took me a while to find the job. But regardless, it's going to take you a very long time to find your first position. You're going to send a lot of applications. Most of the time, you're not going to get very many responses, if any, but you got to keep pushing, right? And the third thing, let's talk about salary, right? In this programming world, we see a lot of people that brag about, they get six-figure salaries coming out of college, or their first entry-level job at these big tech companies like Google and Facebook and, or Meta, as they call it now, or Amazon or stuff like that. The reality is you're probably not going to get a job like that, right? I'm just going to be honest. You're probably not going to get a job like that. Now, there are ways to influence so that you get more replies from these big companies, which I have talked about in previous videos, but the majority of us aren't going to get interviews with those big tech companies. For example, Google has a less acceptance rate than Harvard, now even less with the recession going on right now, right? The problem is people see that software is in demand, so they go study software engineering, or they go to a coding boot camp, and they think it's going to be daisies and roses, right? But that's just not the case. The real case is it's really competitive because you have no experience. A lot of the demand out there is for the senior level, the staff level, the people who already have an established track record. Because to be honest, most people will fail to learn to code. That's the reality of it. Most people either get stuck in tutorial hell, they quit when it gets to the jobs, or they quit once they get into the industry and realize how tough it is, right? Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is what happens when you get that job. You landed that offer, you got that job, or before we get to that, actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about salary, right? So a lot of people, dream about these six-figure salaries, but what they don't also consider is a lot of these six-figure salaries in high cost of living areas, right? So you're not going to get six figures in the middle of Nebraska, for example. A lot of the times, these big companies will require you to live in high cost of living areas like San Francisco, like New York, like Toronto, like Vancouver, these big metropolitan areas where, rents are sky high, food's sky high, everything's sky high, right? So that's another thing that they don't tell you, right? Realistically speaking, you want to expect to make somewhere in the 50, 60, maybe 70, 80 K a year, depending on the area in which you live in, right? So that's on, the salary side of things. Now let's talk about, the job that we were getting to earlier. So a lot of people in this industry, they quit within a year, right? Now, what are some of the reasons for it? One, it's extremely competitive. Leading up to all the reasons I stated before, there's a lot of people who want to get in the door of software, right? So as a result, they're going to hire the best. And when you hire the best, that means that you're going to compete with the best. So as a result, when these layoffs happen, the bottom performers end up being the ones that are laid off. And this is basically, for example, Amazon's hiring strategy. They hire really, really fast, and they hire a lot of people, and they just PIP which is performance improvement plans, aka, firing the people who are low performers, right? So it's a very, very competitive industry. And, I see a lot of these like day in the life videos where, people are, they spend more time eating than actually working, it looks like. At 10 a.m. they go and, they get a coffee, they go back to their desk. And then at 11 o'clock, they go get lunch and go back to their desk. And then 11 to 12 is a meeting. It doesn't look like they get any work done. But those are Instagram highlights. Those are just the fun parts of the job. What they're not going to show you is they're not going to show you the times where they had to stay up to solve a problem, or they had to meet a deadline, or something in the code base went horribly, horribly wrong that, they had to really, really fix, stay up late with their coworkers, and suddenly your entire team gets laid off because the project was what the CEO decided to lay off that particular part of the project. So that leads me on to the next point, which is layoffs. In tech, leading on from my previous point, it's really, really competitive out there, right? So as a result, and being in the tech industry is also one of the most unstable kind of industries out there, right? Considering that a lot of us will work at, these small tech companies out there, we're not going to work at conglomerate companies like Google or Facebook with multiple products. And even then, Even if you work at these conglomerate products, if their core product is not something that fulfills a market demand, then you're eventually going to get laid off. And the reality is you have to always stay on your feet if you want to be in this industry, right? In the tech industry, you always need to be on your feet. You always need to be applying to jobs. You always need to have a backup income, such as a side hustle or something like that. You have to be smart with your money. You can't just blow your 6 figures salary on like a Tesla or, a new Gucci belt or something like that. You need to be frugal with your money, right? Because this industry is so unstable, right? You're going to get laid off. I can guarantee you that. Like, most of this, as an employee, you're not in control of the decisions that the higher ups are going to make. So you need to take control, right? So a lot of people want to get into this position because they want a little bit of freedom, because they want more pay. But remember, more pay becomes more responsibility, and you have to be ready with that. And you always have to have your ears peeled out there for opportunities, because you never know when your time at that company is done. It could be a year from now, it could be 2 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 6 months from now. But a lot of people end up getting comfortable in the tech industry, and honestly, it ends up, costing them. It ends up, they end up making posts on LinkedIn saying, hey, I got let go, I have 60 days before my H-1B expires and I have to leave the country, right? And I don't want that to happen to you. So what you need to do from there is you need to really, if you want to join this industry, you need to be on your toes. Now, you're probably going to say that, hey, what about working in medicine, or what about working in the government? And I'm not talking about that. Now, I worked for the government, very stable career, right? Pensions galore, very good job security, although a lot of bureaucracy out there. But we're talking about the tech industry, the ones that are the sexiest, the ones that everyone wants to get into. Everyone wants a 6-figure salary in San Francisco and, get free food and pet puppies all day. That's what I'm talking about here. But a lot of us, again, aren't going to get that. And also, if you join it, you're probably going to always need to keep your ears peeled for opportunities, and making sure that you're always consistently applying to jobs and stuff like that, right? So if this video was helpful, let me know in the comment section below. Give it a like and give me a subscribe, as it really helps support the channel. And I'll see you in the next video. And also, before you go, let me know what you thought of this setup. I thought I'd just record at a different angle here, show off the Leafs jersey. I am a Leafs fan. But anyway, thanks for watching the video.